All right, thank you for joining us. And now call to order the regular meeting of the Snowline Joint Unified School District Board of Trustees. Have we any comments related to closed session?
No comments related to closed session at this time.
Thank you very much. The board will adjourn to closed session for closed session matters. And thank you for joining us as the board reconvenes from closed session. There's nothing to report out. That'll take us to the School on Spotlight and our Pledge of Allegiance. For tonight's presentation of our nation's colors, we spotlight Phelan Elementary School. The Phelan Falcons are led by Principal Tony Buckley and services 548 students in preschool through 5th grades. Phelan Elementary School is proud to announce that they were chosen for food course services for the 2021-22 school year. This is their 3rd year with the program and are hopeful to take their garden efforts to the next level. The STEAM Lab, that's STEAM with 2 A's and stands for Arts and Agriculture, and the next generation science standard efforts are ripe for leveraging their greenhouse and garden. Phelan Elementary School hopes to include more agriculture into their STEAM Lab, something they can now make happen. Phelan Elementary School is looking to use the pandemic reset button to improve their efforts and promote deeper student engagement and learning. Thank you for supporting the Phelan Elementary School efforts to apply for the Food Corps and supporting the NGSS needs. So we thank Phelan Elementary School tonight for sharing these great strides and providing for our students and being our school in spotlight. Tonight, leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, I would like to invite Quail Valley Middle School student Jasmine Geddes, a member of Quail's Science Olympiad. Jasmine?
Please stand for the pledge. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thanks so much, Jasmine. Really appreciate that help tonight. And that'll take us to student presentations. I'll be proud to introduce Mr. Miller to help us out with that.
Thank you, President Hernandez. Once again, I get the distinct privilege of introducing our favorite part of board meetings, and that's the student presentation. Tonight, we've got some wonderful students and staff from Quail Valley Middle School. They're going to talk to us about Science Olympiad, which they participate in. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to the school principal, Mr. Buckley, or excuse me, Mr. Bennett. I apologize.
Same first name, different last name. Mm-hmm. Hey, I just have the privilege of being a part of this wondrous school, but also the wonderful people that work there, as well as the students that are there. But I want to turn it over to Miss McCarty and Miss Jasper, and they will share with you what they're going to be doing tonight. Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Miller, if you would go ahead and present, we've got a presentation. We are so excited to be here tonight for you guys. My name is Mrs. McCarty, and I'm one of the science teachers at Quail Valley Middle School. And I'm also just an honored coach of the Science Olympiad team. And actually, I'm a co-coach. Mrs. Jasper is the other head coach for our school.
And hi, I'm Mrs. Jasper.
I don't know if you guys can see us, but we're so excited to have the students present to you today, but we wanted to just start you off with a little background of what Science Olympiad is. And it is a cross-curricular, team-based, rigorous STEAM competition where a team of 15 students compete in 23 events from various scientific fields. Through their preparations for the competition, students actively engage in hands-on activities as teams or individually that emphasize problem solving and science and engineering practices.
Science Olympiad at Quail Valley started in 2019. At our first competition, we took first place. Yearly, we compete at one High Desert Invitational, and we compete at an Inland Empire regional competition. It's open to all Quail Valley students. All students on the team compete for ribbons and medals, and the top 15 will compete for overall awards. I'd like to give a big shout out to Coach Ray Stavers from Apple Valley Unified for all of his help and support with developing our Sci-only team.
And this year and last year, we had many accomplishments in both years, but especially this year, we wanted to highlight the 2 competitions that we did. And the students went to a High Desert Invitational competition on February 6th this year. And they took first place in environmental chemistry. And they took top 5 in aerial scramble, electric right stuff, botany, write it, cat it, crime busters, and trajectory.
And after 3 weeks of intense studying for their next competition on February 27th at the Inland Empire Regional Competition, they took first place in cybersecurity, home horticulture, and amazing Metatronics. They took top 5s at environmental and data analysis, rocks and minerals, mousetrap vehicle, water quality, game on, and meteorology. Lots of good studying going on and lots of good science learning.
We are so proud of them. And tonight is all about our students and all about our Science Olympiad team. And we've got 4 people here, 4 students here to present to you. And our first one is Jasmine Geddes.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm in 6th grade. This is my first year on Science Olympiad.
Our second student presenter today is Deepsa Kamak.
Hi, I'm Deepsa. I'm a 7th grader, and this is my 2nd year doing Science Olympiad.
We also have Katie Beck.
Hi, my name is Katie. I'm in 8th grade, and this is my first year doing Science Olympiad.
And we have John De La Rosa.
Hi, my name is John De La Rosa. I'm in 8th grade, and this is my 2nd year being in Science Olympiad. The best parts about Science Olympiad. One of the best things about Science Olympiad is that everything we learn prepares us for our future. We get to learn newer topics than in class, and it prepares us for future careers.
But Science Olympiad isn't just about studying. We get to make more friends with different people from all grades and increase our teamwork and problem-solving skills. In the end, we're all here to have fun. How we've adapted is, this year we've had everything done online, we worked with our friends in group events, we had virtual medal ceremonies, and project testing done in person had to be recorded.
Last year, we got to use packets for studying. Competitions, we could talk with other schools. We got to study with our partners in real life and talk about the topic we were doing. And we get to test our projects in person.
Some cool events.
Home horticulture. Home horticulture is an event with both lab and exam portions that test knowledge about the practice of garden cultivation and management from home.
Crime Busters. In Crime Busters, you work as a 2-person team to solve a crime. You are given fingerprints, blood, substances, polymers, and hair to find out who's done it.
Codebusters. Codebusters is a fun inquiry event in which students dive into the exciting new field of cryptanalysis, the art of deciphering, encrypting, and analyzing coded messages without a given key. It teaches you how to decode both historical and more modern ciphers.
Water quality. In water quality, you learn about the different organisms that live in bodies of water. You also learn about how ecosystems work.
Game On. The objective of Game On is to create a game with a program scratch.
Anatomy and physiology. In anatomy, you will learn about the different parts and their functions in the human body. You will also learn about the different types of conditions and how humans develop.
Food science. Food science is a basic science and applied science of food. You learn of human nutrition needs in foods that are healthy or unhealthy to living organisms.
Helicopters. In this event, you will problem solve while building a model helicopter that you will test, fix, and rebuild.
Disease detective. Disease detective is a search for the cause of diseases, who is at risk, who is immune, and how to cure it.
Ornithology. In ornithology, you will learn about the places and environments different types of birds live in. Why Science Olympiad matters.
Science Olympiad matters because it lets students study things they wouldn't be able to study in regular science. It also helps students build focus for future projects.
Science Olympiad also prepares students for future job opportunities and helps students get into colleges. It also gives students experiences in different career paths.
And our references today are Coach Stavers, retired teacher and Science Olympiad head coach from Apple Valley Unified School District, the National Science Olympiad platform and website, and our local regional Science Olympiad platform. And I'd like to give a big shout out to Mr. Bennett for the support for the last 2 years for our Science Only Club, and to Coach Stavers for his inspiration for our club. Thanks for listening, guys, and you guys rock.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Quail Valley, thank you very much for your enthusiasm. I know you have two wonderful teachers with Mrs. Jasper and Mrs. McCarty. So I can see you feeding off their enthusiasm and their passion for science. So thank you for this evening. I'll turn it over to President Hernandez to see if he wants to field any questions from the board.
Thanks, really appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming out and doing that presentation. That was really wonderful. I have a quick question. I was pleased and surprised. 3 of the 4 participants tonight from the Science Olympiad are female. As I'm sure we all are aware that female are underrepresented in the sciences. I'm a mechanical engineer by degree. And in my graduating class, there was only 1 female amongst 30, a class of 30. So I'm really pleased. Is that generally the makeup of the course right now, or what is the makeup?
You know, I think we're pretty much close to half and half. We're rather split even. Yeah,
That's great.
kind of exciting.
That's excellent. Other board members, do you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I really like that home horticulture. I have killed 2 gardens and working on planting rose bushes right now. So maybe I could get in on a little bit and maybe observe just a little bit one of these days. Come on over.
Yes, sure.
I'd like to give a little shout out to our presenters tonight, because I will tell you that some of them in the competitions actually didn't study for the tests because they were brand new ones that they didn't provide any information for. And they went out and they rocked the actual event. So home horticulture was a brand new one this year. And we said, hey, nobody knows what they're offering in it. Go take this test. And she was like, oh yeah, we'll take it, not a problem. And then they did really, really well. So the our students really rocked this one this year.
Awesome.
Hey, great job, everyone. I like all of them. All those topics were great, but the helicopter one looked like fun and educational. So that's a win.
Excellent presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. Anybody else? Dr. Coleman?
Well, I'd love to. Hey, first of all, Mr. Bennett, you have to be so very proud of course, Ms. McCarty, Ms. Jasper. Thanks so very much for your outstanding work, and most importantly, the kids. I mean, just absolutely awesome. And I'll tell you, just the experience itself is just so very powerful, wonderful, so needed. But I want to speak to the first places real quickly. I'm going to maybe pick on Deepsa real quickly. I know Deepsa because I think she's fielded plenty of questions over the years from me. Deepsa, can you explain to us what it feels like to finish on top as a team? The power in finishing in the number 1 position in many areas like we saw up there, particularly in the Inland Empire regional competition, but to do so together as a team. Can you speak to that for us, Deepsa?
Hi. Hello. Basically, we had to we talked with our teammates, and we talked to them at least every day, and we studied very hard, and that's just how we got on top. We worked very hard as a team.
Yeah. Well, again, congratulations. Just so very proud. And I hope all of you continue to do the great work that we've just seen here tonight, representing Snowline just oh so very well. I know we're all very proud of what we saw here tonight and always proud of your accomplishments.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys, for having us. And I got to tell you, you're right. I'm very proud of these guys. But more importantly, is the fact that how much time they spend together working on these things, especially on the Saturdays that they had competitions. They just are such a great team and great leaders leading our kids. So very proud of them. Thank you for supporting us.
Absolutely. That's a great program there. Thanks for sharing that with us tonight. Really appreciate it. I'm sure as a scientist, you all have some significant homework to do tonight. So I'd invite you to go ahead if you feel so to head on to do other tasks tonight. But thanks for coming out for your presentation. Do appreciate it.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you for this opportunity.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you, Quail.
Very good. All right, that'll take us to community comments. Have we any community comments tonight?
That would be yes.
All righty.
I will go ahead and read the parameters for public comments and then go right into them, President Hernandez, if that works for you.
Yes, please. Thank you for that.
The board president or chairperson will invite citizens to speak on any items on the agenda. In the interest of fairness and efficiency, citizens will be asked to give their name and indicate the item they wish to address. Citizens will also be invited to make suggestions and identify concerns about matters affecting the schools which may not be on the agenda or suggest topics for future agendas. Any individual who has requested to speak to any item on the agenda may be granted up to 3 minutes to make a statement, with the total time devoted to statements not exceeding 15 minutes. Any individual who has requested to speak to an item not on the agenda may be granted up to 3 minutes to make a statement to the board, with the total time devoted to the topic of the statement not to exceed 15 minutes. Community comments may also be submitted online to be read before the board at the appropriate place on the agenda, with a time limit for reading of 3 minutes. 1 hour prior to the start of open session, a community comment may be submitted through the online process. The board president may, with board consent, increase or decrease the time allowed for public statements, depending on the topic and the number of speakers for or against a particular issue. The board president may rule on the appropriateness of a topic. If the topic would be more suitably addressed at a later time, the president may indicate the time and place when it should be presented. I have I have some comments, but I'm wondering if somebody could time me, possibly Dr. Holman, as I think there are a couple that are just very lengthy that will exceed that 3 minutes. Thank you. The first comment is anonymous. It says, hello. I want to express my appreciation to the Snowline administration and board members for moving forward with the return to in-person learning 4 days per week. As a parent, I appreciate any time that my child is allowed to be in school with peers and all staff on site, as all of those parties are needed for my child to be educated. By educated, I don't mean only the academics, which are the least of my concerns this year, but the development of my whole child, especially socially and emotionally. I have certainly seen and heard comments from parents who are disappointed that the students can't return full-time. As a working single parent, I can understand and relate to those frustrations, but am committed to doing anything that I need to do to get my student back as much as is allowed to be back. And thank you for making that happen. I have also seen and heard the comments at board meetings from staff, mainly teachers, who have not wanted to come back, and am so happy that you as a board have committed to the safe return of students. We need to do our best for students, and we can do it safely and have been doing it safely. Doing the best for our students is why you as a board are sitting there and why teachers are in the classroom. I ask that nobody ever lose sight of that as we continue to get our students back where they belong at school. Thank you for your time. The next comment. Hello, board. I would like for our kids to be given the option to still attend school 2 days a week. I don't think it's okay that the decision was made to go 4 days without contacting the parents. A lot of parents have fixed their schedule to accommodate the 2-day schedule. We still have jobs. I don't think the kids should have to stay online 5 days if they can't do the 4 days. It is also a disruption in the education of the kids to keep changing the teacher. I think things need to stay just the way they are until the end of school. We are supposed to be doing what is best for kids. This is not what is best. Please come up with an alternative schedule. And I apologize, I left one sentence out. It says you guys made the schedule and parents worked with it with the assumption that this would be the schedule. And that was from Lamika Childs, parent of Jamil Toddlers at Vista Verde. This comment is from DS. Will there be an option to stay in the current schedule of 2 days in person and the rest of the days remote learning? With the school year almost over, I feel another change in the schedule is asking a lot for students, the families, and any others involved. This comment is from Desirea Haggard. First, I want to thank everyone on the Snowline team who has continued to work hard to make the best of the COVID-19 situation for over a year now. This has been a trying time for us families with continued changes in remote, virtual, and in-class education. I would like to express my disappointment on the recent approval of the 4 part-time days per week of in-class instruction. This is putting an extreme burden on parents who are working. The 2-day schedule we are currently on is not ideal and stretches working parents already. To add on the expectation that parents arrange transportation to and from school in the middle of the day for an additional 2 days seems unnecessary at this time. Other school districts have returned to full-time 5 days per week. I highly ask the board to review their decision and consider offering options, which includes the current 2 days a week or full day in-class instruction. And this is the final comment from a concerned parent. Snowline School Board. I cannot begin to express my frustration when on Friday evening, I opened my email to read that my kindergartner was going to be pulled from the only teacher she has ever known and given to a yet-to-be-named teacher. With only 4 weeks of school to go, she would be given only 1 hour of instruction in the afternoon during what is currently her nap time. There was no consideration given to our family schedule and what had been established since August. While I commend your commitment to bring students back to in-person learning 4 days a week, I think there is a large portion of your student population that you are completely overlooking. Although I am clearly speaking on behalf of my own child and family, I know I am not alone in my concern and frustration. I think you need to be aware of the needs of all of your constituents and I will do my best to explain our situation. I've wanted my student back in school since last August. You see, while I completely understand the fear people have about COVID, I am not one of them. I did my research early, and when I saw that it did not seem to affect children in any significant way, and when I saw that there were not major vectors of transmission, I made a personal decision to support school openings as soon as possible. However, that was not to be the case. Luckily, we had an amazing kindergarten teacher who gave our daughter nothing short of a wonderful online learning experience. When the option came to return to in-person learning a few weeks ago, we were forced to remain home with distance learning. This was not because we were scared of COVID, but rather because we were not scared of COVID. My daughter is terrified of masks. So for me, having her wear them for hours on end would be, in my opinion, psychologically damaging for her. I don't say that lightly, and I don't think she is the only one. Seeing kids return to school in masks surrounded by plexiglass, socially distanced from their teacher and classmates, and kept from playing on the playground looked more like a social experiment rather than a healthy learning environment. I shed some tears as I checked the no box when filling out my form for returning to in-person learning. However, knowing we could continue on with our kindergarten teacher softened the blow. Her teacher didn't miss a beat, and not a second of learning was lost as she balanced the needs of her in-person kids and her remote learning kids. How is she rewarded for this commitment and ingenuity to bring her instruction to both sets of students? By taking them away the last 4 weeks of school and giving them to a stranger who has no idea what these kids can do and no time to build the trust and familiarity necessary to adequately assess them. How is this best for all kids? Isn't it about all kids? So far this year, I've sat back while the needs of others were addressed first. I did it willingly and happily, no more. This is ridiculous, and I couldn't be more disappointed in how my child has been cast aside. She will be devastated when she finds out the only teacher she has ever known will no longer be her teacher for the last month of school. I can't make sense of it. It's hard to believe that together truly is better, and the needs of my child are dismissed and ignored. Together truly is better sounds good until it is your family that is excluded.
Ms. Stapp? We've
Yes.
exceeded the time on that comment, and I do see that there's a significant portion remaining. If it's appropriate, I would like to distribute this to all the board members so that they have a copy of it. And we would have to close that comment at this time.
Okay, I will of course furnish those comments to you, all of the board.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody's comments. It's quite important that everybody remain part of this process as we go through it. At this time, I will look for an adoption of the agenda. Motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept the agenda.
Thank you, Member Bristol. Is second.
I'll second.
I'll take Member Flores. Thank you for that. Show of hands approval. Any against? And we have passed the adoption of the agenda, taking us to consent motion agenda. Are there any items that any board member wish to be pulled? No. Can I get a motion of approval on the consent agenda?
Move approval?
Thank you, Member Berenger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Member Bristol. By show of hands, all in favor? All opposed? And approved by unanimous. We just approved minutes from the March 9th, 2021 study session meeting of the Snowline Unified School District Board of Trustees, approved personnel motions, approved amendment number 1 agreement for the 20/21-0206 State Preschool Program Delegate Agency, approval of the memorandum of understanding for College and Career Access Pathways Partnership Agreement, approval Round 2 Strong Workforce Grant Memorandum of Understanding Match Dollar Revision, Oh my goodness. Okay. First couple were spot on. Just a moment while I
Yeah,
update my.
did you get,
Somehow I got put back.
you're getting the correct consent agenda, correct, Dr. Holman?
Yeah, he sure
That's
is.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll restart
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, consent motion that we just approved was the minutes from April 13th regular meeting and the April 21st special meeting of the Snowline Board of Trustees. Approval of personal motions, approval number 21-1483 in recognition of Certificated Week of the Teacher 2021, and resolution number 21-1484 in recognition of Classified Employee of the Week 2021. Approval of the Williams Third Quarterly Uniform Complaint Report 2020-2021. Information received on the Williams Third Quarterly 2020-2021 report for deciles 1 through 3 schools. Approval contract between Snowline Joint Unified School District and Leader Services for Medi-Cal administrative activities, claim services. Approval of the contract between Snowline Joint Unified School District and A. Bailey LLP for non-audit related services. Approval of the consulting agreement with ISIM Advisors and Snowline Joint Unified School District regarding certificate of participation, and approval and ratification of the district financial transactions, taking us to item I1. And I'll turn that over to Mr. Miller.
Thank you, President Hernandez. It's my pleasure tonight to bring one of our wonderful leaders to you tonight to do an information item on the teaching pyramid for young children. Just to give you a little background for those of you that don't know Mrs. Trish Kendrick, she is the principal of our preschool and after school programs. She just runs wonderful programs and has a crackerjack team for both of those programs as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Trish for some great information today on that teaching pyramid.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, do the board members have access to the PowerPoint?
Is that the attachment?
Yeah, we have the attachment.
Awesome. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to the board for approving our contracts these past 2 years with WestEd. They were the agency that we worked with in order to implement the teaching pyramid. So the 47 pages that were forwarded over to you, it's a case study of the implementation of both PBIS and the teaching pyramid in our state preschool programs here at Snowline. The purpose of this study was to describe the implementation efforts, the outcomes of implementation at various levels, and the program using a case study methodology. So the case study was chosen because this particular design allows us to explore, describe, and explain and illustrate real-life contextualized events. So in this case, it's the teaching pyramid implementation. And the intention of the study was to create a historical record of the project and describe the implementation efforts and plans, and to provide a description of the outcomes of the implementation of the program at both the classroom and child levels. So next slide, please. This is from page 45 of the study that you were provided. I have had the privilege of going out to Chicago for the National PBIS Conference, and each time I go, I represent both the district PBIS efforts as a whole and the state preschool program as well. And I found a gal out there from the University of Florida named Lisa Fox, and she and her colleagues had developed the teaching pyramid in order to provide a framework and a focus of PBIS at the preschool level, because preschool programs operate differently, of course, than a whole school-wide system. For example, we don't have on-site school counselor. We don't have, multiple 20 some odd classrooms at a site. We have 4 at the most at a site. And so the process is different at the preschool level. And so when I sat in on a workshop about the teaching pyramid, I knew instantly this is the direction that we need to go. And so I found out that Linda Brault from West Ed runs the California Teaching Pyramid program. And so I got together with her and we designed a program of support for our preschool staff to implement the teaching pyramid. And so this from page 45, I'm sorry, it's so blurry here, but this just gives you an idea of the different modules and the processes we went through in order to fully implement the teaching pyramid over the past 2 years. All right, so the next slide, please. So pages 17 through 30 or 24 of this study give you a much more in-depth look at the all staff trainings and the summary of those trainings and materials that were used and the documents, the processes that were created as a result. And so next slide, please. And then page 25 through 30 give you the scope of work for year 2 of the implementation of the teaching pyramid. Next slide, please. And then this is from page 32. And the data collection process included both program-wide and classroom assessments. This particular graph illustrates the teaching pyramid benchmarks of quality. And this looked at our program as a whole. So in the PBIS world, this would be something similar to tiered fidelity inventory or the TFI. And so this looked at the different elements of our program. And we worked with Craig Zurcher, Dr. Zurcher. He was the analyst from West Ed, to assess where are we at. This was our sort of our jumping off point in terms of our benchmarks of quality. And I've got to give Corinne Foley from the Desert Mountain SELPA for these very high marks in the beginning of our implementation process, because she was the coordinator that we worked with from the Desert Mountain SELPA on creating our PBIS efforts the 4 years prior to our work with West Ed. So you can see we were starting off in a pretty good place. And again, that's appreciation goes out to Corinne Foley out at the SELPA for that. But this data was used for us to determine what are our next steps and where do we go from here. Next slide, please. So page 37, both of these graphs illustrate the data that was collected from classroom visits that Dr. Zurcher conducted at each of our 10 preschool classrooms over that 2-year period. And these are averaged. So you're taking all 10 classrooms and averaging the results. And I just want to read to you the remark from Dr. Zurcher that's in the case study. The first impression upon entering the classroom is that of an atmosphere of calm, quiet, concentration prevailing. Children are deeply engaged in learning activities, pretend play, and conversations, and the adults are deeply engaged in interactions with children at their eye level using calm, quiet voices, and are observing their activities closely. Program-wide expectations for behavior are posted, as is a visual schedule of the day's activities. During transitions, there are clear signals beforehand. It is orderly, relatively calm, and it is apparent that the children know what to do. The adults look for children's strengths and warmly and verbally acknowledge the children for their positive behaviors. Dr. Zurcher also noted that so few challenging behaviors were observed that he could only conclude that the applications of the teaching pyramid were effective in preventing and reducing challenging behavior. Next slide, please. And then we also conducted a teapot, or the teaching pyramid observation tool, and this was done in one particular classroom. This particular tool rates the teacher and the staff's implementation of teaching and behavior support practices associated with the teaching pyramid framework. It's important to note that this teapot was conducted in Miss Tanya Bartlett's classroom at Pinion Hills. And you may remember that Tanya passed away back in December. But this is the observation that was done for Tanya, Janelle Zeno, and Teresa Schubert for their particular classroom. So you can see that 11 of the 14 elements were defined at levels of fidelity. So that's a score of 80% or higher. And Dr. Zurcher called this a remarkable achievement. I swore I wasn't going to cry. If you knew Tanya, you would not be surprised. But he said is that out of the 110 indicators, the teachers got 99 of them in place. He called that a wonderful achievement on the part of these teachers. So really, really impressed with the work that those gals did in that 2-year period. Next slide, please. So this is just another graph or visual of the implementation. They received a total score of 90%. He said in all the years that he's been using the teapot as a rater that this was the highest score he had recorded. Next slide, please. Then finally, page 47. This is a graph of the theory of change. And when you're doing a case study, you look at the theory of change. And can we, based on the data here, can we make some assumptions that the classrooms were implementing these measures with fidelity? And did the program achieve program-wide fidelity? And the conclusion is yes. So you'll see in that final column, the child outcomes, this is where we have the aw shucks COVID moment, because that this past spring is when Dr. Zurcher was scheduled to come out and do some assessments in order to determine the specific outcomes for the children in our program. And obviously we weren't able to do that with our programs being virtual for last year and most of this year. So we're hoping to have those child outcomes addressed in the very near future. But I, again, appreciate your support and want to offer you the opportunity to ask any questions you might have.
Thank you for that. Well, the outcomes or the results appear very highly positive. One note that I had written down while you were speaking, what are your takeaways from the results, and where does this program go from here?
Those are great questions. So tomorrow, our entire staff is meeting with Dr. Zurcher, and we've been working with Dr. Zurcher and Linda Brault through this year, and we've done some focus on trauma-informed practices, and our final meeting tomorrow is about that transition in leadership. As you know, I'm retiring at the end of this school year, but that transition in leadership and what's our historical narrative and how do we ensure that that we keep this program going? And so our group will be using several tools that Dr. Brault and Dr. Zurcher put together for them to work on over the next 8 to 10 weeks, figuring out how to sustain the program moving forward and how to keep the high quality that we have seen over the past couple of years. My personal takeaway is that this was a fantastic opportunity, and the growth that I've seen in our staff because of the leadership opportunities and coaching opportunities that were provided for them it's been really cool to see them care for and love kids in a whole new way. And we've had very few, if any, major behavior problems or parent issues or complaints. And it's been great. It's made my life really easy.
Well, it shows you worked really hard at it and way to cap off a great career, with excellent results and a program that is just flying high. That's really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, any comments or questions?
I'd just like to make a comment of thank you so much for all of your hard work and dedication to the program, and congratulations on those tremendous outcomes. It's fantastic. I'm curious to know if there's any tracking as those children progress in their education careers as to their behaviors and so forth.
Well, the Department of Ed has threatened to do that for a really long time. And what that would require is that they would issue SSID numbers to all of those children so that we could track their outcomes throughout their academic career. And for some reason, there's a hookup. I'm sure there's a fiscal or reporting. Dave Winward knows the answer to this. But there's a reason why we can't issue those SSID numbers, so we're not able to track them. But we're hoping that we head in that direction. The gal that's in charge of that department up at the Department of Education is very savvy and is interested in measuring those outcomes through both the teaching pyramid and the desired results developmental profile.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kendrick.
Of course.
Anybody else? Please.
Yeah, thanks, President Hernandez. First of all, I just want to say maybe 3 statements and then a question. West Ed, for those of you who don't know, West Ed, a very, very reputable, wonderful reputation, as well as highly credible institution. So just for West Ed to say yes, if you will, to Snowline, and yes to Tricia and all of the employees, it's just a real compliment to all of them, first and foremost. So I want to make sure I say that. And then the second piece, I just say real quickly, just a tremendous amount of appreciation I have for the staff members and students through this process, not to mention their families. I mean, this is a journey here, and boy, I was very fortunate to sit through a number of the portions, I should say, but portions of the professional development over the years. I mean, just the highest quality of professional development being provided, but more importantly, just the highest level of professionalism amongst the staff members that then in turn, it gets conveyed to the students through the educational process. So something, the second piece to be proud of. And then thirdly, really the person we see on the screen, Trish Kendrick, gosh, you have to be incredibly proud of yourself. You think of your legacy here, starting the pre-K program from really ground zero to, again, kind of making this connection back to West Ed. This research is going to benefit, right, California, and not to mention across the system. And amongst the many strengths Tricia has is professional development and making certain that she provides that for her staff members so that they can be successful. So, Trish, thanks so very much. You need to be incredibly proud of what you've accomplished, not just in this instance, but in your career. And to that end, therein lies my question. What are you most proud of when you just think about this piece right here, Trish, the notion of West Ed? What are you most proud of when you read that report?
Well, thank you, Dr. Holman. I'm most proud of our staff. They're the ones that did this work. You know, I just facilitated the events and getting those events to happen. But they did this work and they coached each other and they supported each other, and their collaboration is incredible. And we only have one person on our team that's been trained in the PLC process, but our staff meet as a site PLC, as a teacher PLC. They were serious about using data to drive their decision-making process. But, you know, part of the reason I feel comfortable retiring it is because we have such an amazing staff. They are an incredible team. They have worked exceptionally hard and exceptionally well. I mean, just a quick note, we were asked to stop coming to school on March 13th. By the end of the day on Sunday, our staff had created an online virtual program for our preschool students. That's how they roll, that's how they work. And so this document represents their efforts.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Wonderful.
Well, with that, thank you very much. Again, Ms. Kendrick, thank you so much for your career with us and for this report and all the hard work that's gone into it. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just really quick, I get the privilege of working with Trish on a regular basis and meeting with her. And she is very humble. She always deflects credit onto her team and who do incredible work. But she's got to give herself some credit for some great leadership and just creating those conditions in which that great work happens. So thank you, Trish.
Thank you, Alan.
All righty, thank you. That'll take us to item J1, agreement between Snowline and Go Architects. And I'll ask Mr. Chacon if you can lead us on that, please.
Yeah, thank you, President Hernandez. I just want to take this opportunity to kind of give the group an update on where we're at with Baldy Mesa. If you remember back in the fall, we had that demolition project taking place. We were removing all of the overhanging stucco throughout the school sites on all their stick-built buildings. So that has taken place. We are continuing to work with our insurance carriers. We're working diligently with them, trying to potentially recoup some cost through that demolition project. And now that that is complete, we're going to start moving forward with the replacement of that overhanging stucco. So that's what's before you right now. That's an agreement with Go Architects. Go is one of our 3 approved architects the board approved back in 2018. That was WLC Architect, Frick and Jate, and Go Architects. So we will be, we're looking to work with Go in the replacement process of that stucco. So really they will be providing 7 services for us throughout this process: design and prelim, providing construction documents, DSA approval, that's Department of State Architecture, DSA approval and review. They will help us also through the bid and negotiation process. They'll help award the bid, the construction, and then those DSA closeouts. So we are hoping to get all of this work completed over the summer while we don't have students on campus. If you could peruse the contract, you'll see it's a pretty tight timeline. We're thinking 6 weeks worth of construction. Now that everything's exposed, we have a pretty good understanding of what it's going to take to get it replaced. And we feel that 6 weeks is pretty reasonable for us. So that's our goal. I'd like to get moving forward on this ASAP so we can make sure we're not interfering with the 21-22 school year.
Most definitely, thank you. Does anybody have any questions on the contract?
Nope.
All right, so this contract is put to the board for approval. Can I get a motion to approve? Is that correct? Approve the agreement as it's been presented.
Move approval.
Thank you, Member Berenger. Do I have a second?
One second.
Thank you, Member Flores. And by a show of hand, those all in favor? And all opposed? Unanimously approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I'll take us to item K1, discussion on the governance handbook. Dr. Coleman.
Thanks so very much, President Hernandez. We're back for the second time here, specific to working with the governance handbook, the Snowline Joint Unified School District specific document that really it was established a number of years ago to guide all of your efforts here at the table, myself included as a team. And so Alan Miller's going to do his good work as he does for us also very often. It's specific to putting up on the screen the document that we're working through. And if you remember, we thought maybe in the course of 4 meetings, this would be our second one, is to piece out the handbook and review the work that had been started prior to the pandemic. It was referenced back in March of 2020, right? Started back then, and we went through the first couple pages. And as you see that first page there, we went through that first page. Thank you, Alan, for continuing to scroll down there. I appreciate that. And as you continue to scroll, you'll see where we landed a little bit under that second page there. Thank you, Alan. As we go to the second page, the table of contents, right, which we will update ultimately after we finish this process. And then we'll see that next one, Alan, as we continue. And we're going to see, I think he's got an older one here, Alan, but it'll still apply. We've inserted the core values and the belief statements in here. And then now as you go to the next page here, yeah, thanks, Alan. We'll go over to that next page. Yeah, and we can see this work here. And now that I've said that, Alan, is there any way, do you think, I wonder if we've just got the correct one there, the most updated one? Is that the most updated one, Alan?
Well, it's a live link, as far as I know, Ryan. So I thought any changes you would have made would have been present in this edition.
Yeah, is it from the attachment of the meeting, Alan?
No, but let me go ahead and pull that up real quick and do a quick swap. I'm sorry. I thought this was a Google Doc type of document.
Oh, so no, I'm sorry, Alan.
That's okay. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull it real quick.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I could send it to you.
Yeah, if you want to do that, maybe that'll be faster.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll send it.
Thanks, Nancy. And thanks, Alan. My apologies there for that confusion there, Alan and Nancy, but I will share with you. So what we're looking to do here is to go backward to go forward. We landed last time on the board goals. You did a great job with that. I want to share with you one point to make sure that we are articulating what all of you want, right, in that regard. And that is, that'll come up first again. And then we'll go forward to the next sections, and we'll see some sections in terms of your expectations, the board's expectations, as well as the superintendent's expectations. And I think if we can get through those 2 pieces today, that would then lead ourselves to about 4 remaining pages, 2 other sections to get through on each of the next 2 board meetings will be done in May. And so again, we'll get back to that board goal, and it's specific to board goal. The board goal when we talked about the creation of opportunities for our students. And I think you might remember we had that conversation about et cetera and et al. And others and so forth. And so I wanted to speak to that to make sure that you see what we have as a working piece, because we kept it fairly simple. But the bigger piece, what I wanted to share with all of you is we absolutely hear the direction from all of you, and that is continue to create opportunities, more and more opportunities. But my question to all of you as board members is there a need for a measuring piece? Because as we create and create and create, I think absolutely that is great for kids. But do we also have to have, or should we also have a measuring side to that? And that is continuing to assess, if you will, the effectiveness of our efforts, and not always just adding, but adding with purpose, and then ensuring that we're balancing that with the other side that comes from adding, right? And that's assessing what's still relevant to ensure the success for all of our kids. So that's the question at hand. You'll see as it comes up here on the screen a little bit more specific. Alan, thanks for working with us here. Appreciate that. Thank you, Alan. So yeah, that's great there. So you can see the updated piece there, the core values that we talked about, and belief statements inserted in there. And then, Alan, as we get to the board goals, yeah, thanks so very much. If you're able to blow up the board goals, Alan, or I guess expand them, magnify them, maybe it's a better couple terms there. wonderful. Thanks, Alan. Appreciate that. And so going back down to the board goals there. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So I'll just go through them real quick. You see board goal number 1, continue to improve student achievement. Board goal 2, develop an inclusive process to increase the community engagement. So board goal number 3 was the one I was talking about. Create new courses and programs, including advanced placement, dual enrollment, career tech education, and others. So 2 pieces here. We talked about et cetera, et al. We felt like others, and I don't know if we need to be more explicit there in that regard, right? But I know we had that conversation. But the bigger piece is as it reads, that seems like an ongoing piece, like we're always going to create a new. So my question to the board members, do we need a balancing statement there around evaluation, if not relevancy, anything of that sort? President Hernandez and really to all of you.
Yeah, of course, thank you. If I recall correctly, we did have a component in there that we had described as maintain. Do you all recall that as well? That it was not just create new, but maintain those that are exceeding. So I do feel that that was not captured in this goal.
Yeah, if I could say something.
Please.
I apologize, President Hernandez. That was my mistake. I somehow left that word out. I had asked Ryan if he remembered what that one word was, and neither one of us could, so I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah, thanks. That's really the spirit of us asking, so that it's maintain. And so how does that fit in? We knew that you had some conversation, and we felt the same way too.
Yeah. Well, I guess if I can recap that, yeah, I thought the maintain piece was in there for the explicit idea that those programs that are achieving all that we need in advanced placement, CTE, that those that are doing well are bolstered, that are maintained and kept. But I can appreciate also your comment about evaluating and revisiting those programs that may not be succeeding as well, and calling off those that aren't performing. I guess I can open up to the board in terms of a discussion, or what your recollection or input is here.
I agree that a measure is necessary, and I believe that as we go through the superintendent evaluation, we review these board goals, and I feel that that would be a time when we would do that. I don't know that we, under board goals here, are going to include that measure. I don't know that that metric has been determined.
Valid.
I think we need a measuring. My ears are plugged up, so I don't know if I'm talking loud enough. So I think one of the reasons this is on the board goals is we've had thousands of discussions about getting some AP science classes started in Toronto, and it never happens.
Yeah.
Even though we all have that as one of our goals.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just say we'll maintain everything, it kind of like stops the impetus. My point.
Well, I think we leave the create new AP programs is important, but we can have AP basket weaving that has 2 students and nobody's passing the AP course. Okay, maybe perhaps we need to eliminate that program. But AP chemistry that we introduced is doing excellent. Let's bolster that. Let's, by some defined metrics, find out that yes, it's doing well, and we need to add to it. So I think that was the intent of the board goal.
Or in terms of evaluation rubric, have we found a teacher? Have we found some curriculum? Have we gotten somebody trained? Have we looked around trying to find somebody to teach that? Where are we at, in that whole process? Or any other AP process?
Yeah. And we can create all of that. Absolutely. Establish all of that.
And that would be reviewed quarterly, annually?
However you like, right?
Quarterly, semi-annually, annually, however all of you would like.
So we're talking about right now, just so I'm clear, we're talking about possibly making changes to this board goal number 3. And we recognized before that we had the word maintain in there, but it was removed. But now maybe we're trying to add something like something to this board goal that's saying, because the create portion is great, the whole sentence is good, but there's no like you're saying, there's no measurement that how it reflects towards a community or towards any success, right? So we're looking to word something into that particular goal that pertains to those subjects. Correct?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. And maybe is it as simple as create and maintain to get maintain in there, the new courses, et cetera. And then that second piece that you just mentioned there, remember, Bristol?
Yeah, and it's supposed to be pretty broad, I think, right? You know, in the goals. So we want to.
I think you're right.
Keep it broad.
Did you have something to propose?
I'm just making sure that this is all clear in my mind what we're doing. We had a couple different ideas going. So,
If I may, President Hernandez,
Please.
the board goals stated before create new courses and programs, including advanced placement, dual enrollment, career tech education. And then we added and others or et al. Dr. Holman felt that others was a better fit there. The only word that I did leave off was you had put it as create and maintain. And that was what we had come up with for the goal.
yeah, so it would read create and maintain new courses and programs, including advanced placement, dual enrollment, career tech education, and others. Yes.
Yes.
I just quickly wrote down, create new courses, maintain excelling programs, and continuously evaluate programming, including advanced placement, blah, 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 blah. So create new courses, maintain, I said maintain excelling programs or
Yeah, like
exceeding
high performance,
high performing
something,
programs, and constantly evaluate, something to that effect.
There's also low performing programs. When you first start an AP class, it's tough. You might have a low performance program for a while, but then you have to improve it. You know, to get it.
But it should be evaluated, though.
Yeah.
It should be considered.
So maybe we put that in there with maintain. Just create new courses, maintain it, or create, maintain, and evaluate new courses and programs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very create, maintain, and evaluate.
Mm-hmm. That works.
Yeah, I like that. I believe that's consensus on that. Would you be able to put good verbiage to that and present it back?
I think I mean, is it as simple as that though too? Yeah, but we can give you options as you wish, or if you'd like to just talk right now, what works best.
I think we need to hold the spirit, like remember Clerk Bloom said that, you know, advanced placement courses need to be an important aspect of what we provide. But we also know that CTE is a highly desirable outcome, especially for the non-college bound students. You know, career pathway is incredibly important. So all of this is the whole goal is big, broad, and important. So.
Yeah, we can certainly bring that back. I just make one small piece and just instead of tech, just put technical. Just put the form, you know, the formal. Yeah, the formal word there.
Okay, can I, because I missed one thing. I have create, maintain, and evaluate new courses and programs, including advanced placement, dual enrollment, career technical. Do you want it to say education?
Yeah,
and
that's
others?
what CTE stands for, right? Career technical
Yeah.
education.
Steve, you had something?
I would just say that, Madam Hernandez, I'm not sure you're aware, I did some research on this. Our lower performing schools in California, the lower socioeconomic areas, are wiping us away with science and math.
Mm.
And we don't even have I guess the word equity with good socioeconomic area in those areas.
On courses that we offer.
On the ones that we should be offering.
Okay.
Well, you saw a little bit of this today when you saw the great number of students who are taking CPE classes. That's making it very limited to teach really high level physical science and chemistry and biology classes.
Okay.
Is it, you think because they're being pulled different directions, you can only do so many things?
I think a lot of it is a tradition of Snowline to offer a lot of those CTE classes rather than branch out.
So you feel we may need to pare down CTE offerings into most highly effective and viable career pathways and bolster our science and math offerings?
I'm just saying that presents an opportunity if we're losing enrollment to move more into science.
Yeah.
STEM.
Yeah. I mean, I most certainly am one to favor, the sciences and everything from my background, but knowing that I acknowledge not every student is college bound, and we must provide to them an opportunity to get into a field that honestly we're losing nationwide. We are losing carpenters and plumbers and electricians at staggering scales. Even years ago, machinists to operate a hand mill, we couldn't find anybody at the job I was at. We searched for a year, no applicants. They didn't know what the words were. So I think these are going to be important steps and important goals that we have as a board to make sure that we are offering not only opportunities for our students, but opportunities that are going away in our world. So obviously, I think, Dr. Holman, you say it best that we can do anything, we just can't do everything. Perhaps we're doing a little bit too much of everything, and those kind of things can be evaluated as we move forward.
Yeah, I think that's what we heard from you, right? With those three words: create, maintain, and evaluate. I think it seems like that addresses what all of you are saying, if I'm, hearing you correctly.
Yeah. Does that satisfy what you're feeling?
Sure.
Yeah, I still like the way that I don't know if we're going to get a read back, but what we were talking about on goal 3 with the maintain and evaluate. And then I think all of these programs in here, since it's a goal, since we're going to evaluate each section in this goal, that it gives us flexibility to do just that in the future. We could, if everything's moving one direction or another direction, we're going to evaluate that and move that direction according to the goal. If it reads that way,
yeah,
it's like, and then for we have so much stuff to do. It's like butter on toast. You got to cover the whole piece.
But Member Bristol, I really appreciate what you said there. I think by the addition of maintain, of course, right, which you intended the first time, but with the evaluate, while it may have been implied, it's now explicit, right? It's explicit, and it ensures just what all of you are saying, that whether it be quarterly, right, semi-annually, if not, of course, yearly, that we're doing just what you said, looking at all that we're offering to ensure that it's best for kids each and every year.
Okay. You guys have to remember I'm a rookie here too. So
could I please read it back?
Please.
I have create, maintain, and evaluate new courses and programs, including advanced placement, dual enrollment, career technical education, and others. Now, President Hernandez then made a statement, most highly effective and career pathways and bolster our science and math offerings. I'm not including that in the goal is what I'm understanding.
I would agree, do not include those items. The way it was read back sounds accurate to our intent right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I would suggest that we strike the word new because create, maintain, and evaluate courses.
I agree.
Because
we're not
create-
only
create already says
evaluating.
new.
Create says
Right,
new, you're right.
right. We're
Good
not
point.
only
Strike
evaluating.
new.
And I'll offer one more piece. Would you want the word all in front of others? Maybe it's,
Select.
so it's not select. It's really, we should, be evaluating all that we do.
Yeah,
Say select courses. Evaluate select courses as they come up, or something like that, not evaluate select
what you're saying.
courses.
yeah, that and others kind of threw me because it's a little ambiguous, of course. I think it's probably intended to be.
Right, because it came on the heels of us seeing the Avid presentation.
Right.
So we were like, well, we don't want to leave them out. And there were certain
Yeah.
things we didn't want to leave out and say they all fit.
Yeah.
Because I think was the intent behind that was we had just sat and talked to the Avid kids.
Yeah, Avid's
about-
amazing. We want to make sure we bolster that,
Dr. Homer, you're talking about putting all in front of courses?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, sorry. Actually, at the end there, remember Bristol, all in front of others.
in front of, and all others.
Exactly.
And in that, all others and stuff like that, what we're talking about here in Board Goal 3 is advanced placement, that's high school. Dual enrollment, that's high school. CTE, that's high school. We're addressing 4 out of the 13 grades we service. There's a lot of kids that we miss out without that others, or being maybe even more specific to saying to that maybe facilitate all students. Just because I was just reading those words in there, and it's all high school.
And I think that was the spirit of it originally, right? And I think the intent, what I'm hearing from all of you, is that again, it would be all others that programmatically from preschool up through 12th grade, and not to mention adult school too, right? Because we offer adult school. That we're ensuring programmatically, right? It's a programmatic goal that what we're putting in place for our students, preschool through adult, is what it is what it needs to be in service of their success.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's what I was trying to get at with all.
Yeah.
I like it.
I believe as long as we all remember that all others does represent a large number of students. I think that would work out well.
Sounds inclusive to me.
Can I try one more time then?
Sure, thank you.
Create, maintain, and evaluate select courses and programs, including advanced placement, dual enrollment, career technical education, and all others.
I'm not a fan of the select others.
Do you want me to change it back to all, but then we have all in there twice?
No,
Or
I
just
think just
evaluate courses?
strike the
Yeah.
select, I think.
Well, it was strike new, leave everything else the way it was.
Okay.
You get in danger after a while of removing all thought from what you're trying to say.
Okay, so I have create, maintain, and evaluate courses and programs, including advanced placement, dual enrollment, career technical education.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Agreed. With that.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you for that moment. Sorry for having some technical difficulties, experiencing some internet issues. And we had just moved into the description of the role of the board. There's some modifications presented, and it reads out, as the board's role is to set the direction for the district and monitor, advise, and evaluate the superintendent. My comments to that were I had that previously. Before all that, it says school board trustees are elected representatives of the respective areas entrusted to, and then that portion, set the direction, monitor, advise, and evaluate. That were my critique or my read on it. If there's anybody else that has any, the board.
I'm fine with the green section. It's
As is.
entitled Roles and Responsibilities. Where's that? When I think of what we have been given in MIG, Masters in Governance, I recognize the setting the direction and monitoring.
My question is who's going to be reading this? Like, is this a for the general public to be to know what the school board member's job is? School board member to read and know what their job is, So is this a description of how we get here and what we do, or is it a description?
That's a good question. Who is the audience for reading? I know I've read it, but I don't know of anybody that has.
Yeah, member Behringer, I think you nailed it. So too, did you, Member Bristol? I think the audience is all of you and us here at this table, right?
Right.
It's a handbook for all of you. We certainly make it available to everyone, at request, but it's a great question that you.
Just with that answer, with knowing, also okay with the green, because we know what district we're from and how we're, you know what I'm saying?
You're right. Yeah, I took it as a much broader statement, like that this is a distribution for the community, and if it's not, then yeah, I am okay with the green as it's written. Any other comments? Indeed. All right, well, with that, I think we have consensus that the green as presented looks good.
Hernandez, and I'm just looking to Nancy Stepp, so I'm sure she's hearing us in that regard too. So,
Well, Ryan, I heard some of it. So the green stays.
Yeah, thanks, Nancy. I think I can recap it because this is one of the easier ones here in regards to the great work you do, and that is no change to the one in the green. Well, and that's the first paragraph, Nancy. We'll go on to the second one here. And then President Hernandez, if I can turn that over to you because I can't access it on my computer right now.
Oh, yeah, most
yeah, and that
Ellen, do you hear anything?
No, Nancy, I hear you, but I don't hear the meeting going on.
I don't either.
Did we just lose the meeting?
I think we did.
Oh, and I'm logged in twice somehow because I was on my phone and it didn't unlog me from my phone when I logged out. So I wonder if I'm going to start echoing crazy. How do I log myself out?
I just hung up my phone.
That's what I did too, and it
kept you there?
It still has me on twice.
Rick, can you hear us?
Okay, yes, and I will tell it SDA we can't see in here either.
Okay, we'll just hang tight because I don't know if we're still streaming or what. We have to be careful.
To everybody watching at home, please stand by. We're just working through these technical difficulties real quick.
And once again, we're back. Sorry for the additional technical difficulties. We were getting into the superintendent's role. We complete, are we good with the board's role? Nancy has the direction? Okay.
I think we do.
Yeah, and so the superintendent's role is currently or written out as the superintendent's role is to develop a plan, marshal resources, assign personnel, monitor, recognize effort, and hold personnel accountable to achieve the board's direction. I think it's concise. It's exactly what is expected and needed. The board.
Looks good.
Yeah. We have, looks like we have consensus that this is also or what's highlighted here in green is good to go.
Yeah, thank you, President. Do you mind if I just offer one more piece, though, just for consideration? And that would be is there an additional role for me to represent the best interests of the district in all settings?
Well, there's something to be said about that, and I appreciate you bringing that up. You represent us beyond our district. You attend the Mountain Desert Economic Partnership. I mean, heck, even if you walk into Pizza Factory down the street, you're going to be seen and known even before we are. We can walk into Pizza Factory and nobody's going to know us, but with you. So I can appreciate a component to that says representing district to the community. Or how did you
Best interest of the district at all times? I mean,
any thought about that?
I have a couple things to say about it. I think you do. One down the road might not. And number
I think
two,
they shall.
Huh?
They shall.
They
Yeah.
shall represent them.
And then number two, is that an overriding factor? If something comes up in an emergency.
Meaning?
Without him consulting us or the superintendent. And then say, I'm just going to make a decision here. Because I think it's the overriding.
Yeah. Well, in fact, he does have that authority, as we saw last year with the start of the pandemic, that it was your decision to go ahead and start shutting down prior to even consulting us because of the emergency situation. Reasonable steps. In addition to that, what are you saying to that?
Already has that authority, then why do we need to give it to him again?
In stating about his representing the best interest?
The best interest of the boards in making any decision.
It's just perhaps that public view of the superintendent. Putting himself and the district in best light at all times, kind of thing. Or input to that?
Yeah, I mean, I can go both ways. Whoops, excuse me. I can go both ways on that because maybe it's implied to. I guess I was making that explicit to the extent that I feel like it's a responsibility in my role to always have Snowline's best interests in mind, whether it be at the chamber meeting, whether it be at a CSD meeting, as an economic partnership in and out of the district.
The decision-making capacity.
But it sounds like, to me, that wording sounds like more of a like the MOU with the superintendent kind of deal instead of in the governance handbook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good point. I mean,
Well, I think that's an important role that he serves. All of his
Representing
roles as, chairperson at MDCP are best interest and all the other facets of your job. I think it's appropriate to.
Yeah, it's
insert
appropriate.
that.
It's fine. I don't know if we're going to keep it.
Unfortunately,
My only fear is that it gets too close into his personal life. You know, like.
Too bad.
You have a personal
I guess
answer?
that's a.
No,
That's
I
my
didn't think
only,
you did.
that's my only fear is that sometimes and not have to, you know.
Well, I mean, we do that too,
Yeah.
going out into the community.
Really do.
You know, people don't know you as your child's dad.
Right.
They know you as a board member in some instances.
I'm fine either way. I
Okay.
just, is that now his, a lot of his personal, if it's that broad. So I'm arguing with an umpire the other day, and that reflects badly on Snowline. On him, you know, not Snow, depending on the call, of course.
Of course, yeah. Was he kicking good or not?
Might have been worded, but that's my only answer.
Way I like the way it reads right now, but if you want to add that in there, I'm fine with it too.
I kind of express my opinion on that. Yes. Somebody coming down the line, like I said, being up to you.
Yeah. I think it's a good addition of the position. It is to always represent well. Maybe to always professionally, you know, because it isn't at a baseball game, but it is at the economic partnership. You know, you're not going to sit there and say, Snowline, you know. Simply the wording of a professional or something to that effect. Would you like to come back with a recommendation, or?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I did offer that, and I felt, compelled to say it because I do believe it's an important role, right? That again, I mean, you heard me say it simply, right? Represent the best interest of the school district. You know, to me, implied in that is professionally, right? Because I think it has to occur or should occur, because otherwise, people don't get the best of Snowline, I think.
Can you bring this to your lawyer? You just say, hey, you know, scenarios as a cover. Have a baseball field, and you say, okay, that's it, game's over, scores slowly. I mean, how much authority does that say?
Well, I don't think this statement gives any authority role as the superintendent.
CTA guidelines.
TA?
We can just put that CTA guideline XYB.
Maybe
Yeah.
CSB guidelines, not
CSBA. I
CTA.
just saw it as I just saw it as an expectation, right? What's the expectation? That's simply put. And without getting too much into the legal end, right, is just, is that something that a board of 5 would say, yeah, we want a superintendent to represent our best interest in all implied professional settings.
Right, because like what I brought up before, it's not the superintendent's contract. It's not a binding thing. This is just a guide for school board members of the future.
Currently,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so that makes sense to me.
Yes, I take it that I take your recommendation to add it highly. Perhaps let's come back with what you believe a good a statement would be in there of how you can craft in. It's not about giving you additional authority, but it is about representing in professional manners. So
My concern is that it should state that he's representing Snowline's best interest. His other ancillary roles as superintendent, stations and so forth.
Yeah, I think that's well said. The piece I would just add to that I think hopefully presents some value is, to me, it's internal, right? That everything right there for the most part is all about when we're within our boundaries.
Right.
And collective impact efforts that have tremendous value to Snowline. It seems like some statement that we're talking about starts to say that I'm the chair over there of the, what am I the chair of? The Mountain Desert Career Pathways. So I have to look out for the entire JPA, but I also still have to make sure I look out for Snowline. And I guess that's my point. I see the collective impact efforts only becoming more and more prevalent, to be quite honest.
True.
Are you okay with getting a draft to come back at the next meeting?
You know what the very first thing I thought of when you said that? COVID.
COVID? In what way?
To make a decision here that this is the best.
Yeah, and I should add to that, there's board policy that allows for that, right, in emergency situations, and so that we, made that decision and then informed you, didn't we, right?
Okay.
And I guess my point was with the collective impact, that extends, right, when I'm out in Apple Valley, when I'm at wherever, right, is to say, I've got to make a decision, for the greater good of the Mountain Desert Career Pathways, but also what's best for Snowline. Getting that guarantee or that expectation, that's there for everybody. So we'll bring something back if that's what the will of the group is here.
I believe it is. Everybody else?
That sounds good.
Very good.
Great. And that brings us to the conclusion there, President Hernandez,
Thank
of this
you.
section, and we'll pick up the next section
Yes,
at the
sir.
next meeting.
Take us to item K2, the at-home and in-person learning for the balance of this year.
Yeah, thanks, President Hernandez. We do this on a regular basis. It's typically, and it is in this case too, the last item on the agenda from the administrative standpoint, and that's our of where we are right now currently in our learning designs. And so Alan will post this up for all of you, familiar slides here. And because we met recently, we'll be able to move through this, I think, fairly efficiently, but please stop me as always, all with the notion that that we post presentation on the website and make it available for the public if in fact they want to access it. So Alan, thanks again in advance for your great work. We'll go to second slide there, the outcomes. A shared understanding about where we are and our commitments collectively as to what we're going to do next. And so there's the agenda on the next one, Alan. And it looks fairly familiar. You'll see that second bullet. We're going to hone in on that 4-day in-person update. We heard in public comments about that. We'll give you that information, and then certainly at the end, give you those next steps. So to that end, Alan, if we can get right into this, and we'll talk about what guides us, right? Federal, state, and local guidelines. Thanks for allowing us to follow those guidelines. It's the right work. We believe you've been outstanding in that regard. And then that following slide, Alan, is that design we have at home, the remote learning and Snowline Academy in place, and we have in person 2 days a week right now, and we're working toward the 4, which we'll talk about. And so, Alan, as we go to the next slide, there's the again, we have 2 options for at-home learning, right? Snowline Academy, and then the next slide, we have the remote school that's currently happening at all the other schools and Snowline Academy. And so as we go to the following slide here, please know that we still have some cohorts in place. That number continues to go downward. It's at 19 right now, students district-wide enrolled in cohorts which address those most acute needs. Why is that number going down? Because the in-person is going up. So those kids are going from the cohorts to in-person design. So that's why that number is going down. Again, if you recall, cohorts were the very first version of in-person learning, currently in hybrid right now. And we'll talk about that 4-day a week design in just a moment. That next slide too, you've seen before, that's sports. Just that reminder, look at all those sports that are happening for our kids. Really proud to see that that's going on. And you've probably seen it in the and when you've been driving around Serrano High School, all kinds of sports happening, and really proud again of what we're getting in front of our kids in that regard. So Alan, as we go to the next slide here, let's drill down and talk about the metrics that we use: daily new cases, positivity rate, and that HPI positivity rate. That's that reminder. You've seen that before, Alan. As we go again, here's our time now to just show you where we are in data. There are the tiers. We're in orange right now. That's the second from the bottom, right? That's that moderate area that we're in right now. And so great to see that we're doing really well. And I'll just give you that preview. We're stabilized down at some relatively low levels. And so Alan, let's go through those if you don't mind on the slides. Real quickly, here are our areas, beginning with Oak Hills. You can see 7.5 number is the daily case rate, 2.8% on the percentage transmission rate. And that total cases of 5 would be for the most recent week. Now we go from Oak Hills to Phelan. Phelan will be the next slide of 3.9, 3.2% and 4 total cases. Pinion Hills will be the next one, Alan. 0.6, very similar there, 4.4 and 2 total cases for the week, daily cases, I should say, for the week that's assessed. Right there is Victorville. That's where out on our eastern boundary, right? 4.2 daily cases with a 1.7% positivity rate. And then lastly, Wrightwood, I think will come up finally, Alan, the next one, 0. So again, you can see our numbers within our own boundaries in those 5 slides, right? Oak Hills all the way to Wrightwood, and the other 3 in between, Phelan, Pinion Hills, and Victorville, very low. That's encouraging. And I just want to say thanks to our community for doing the work, and that is following the mitigation strategies. It really works, and I'm appreciative of that for sure. And we need to continue that, of course. Think about education in person here, which we'll discuss and I guess are discussing right now. So thanks, Alan. Let's get some just 2 more slides and drill down on the numbers. You can see those numbers there. That's San Bernardino County, right? And just see a real stabilizing, don't you, of the data. Yeah, they're going a little bit up, a little bit down, but it's really leveled off. And sure, we want it to level off at 0, but at least right now we're leveling off at a low number, staying within that orange tier. And so again, that's encouraging. And let's look at Snowline's numbers just over time. You can see the leveling there. That number at the bottom, 2.9 daily cases per 100,000 for this week, is the lowest in the longest of times. I mean, I'm talking about months. So again, great news. You see the total weekly cases, and then again, those numbers are in single digits. Great to see. I guess to me, great to celebrate, but not to move away from in terms of us lowering down our guard, right? We need to continue to keep that up because again, in my belief, the science, I think, backs it up. It works. So Alan, thanks for showing all the data, our quick tour through that. You know, this is our term that you've supported all the time, as quickly, safely, and tightly align the public health guidelines as possible, and doing so together. And so with that, let's drill down into some quick areas on the vaccines. I want to speak to that real quickly because we've got some nice opportunities that are availing ourselves right now to our own community members. So when we talk about vaccines, let's just go through real quickly the eligibility, right? 16 years and older for the Pfizer vaccine, 18 and older for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson, you know, is off the pause, right? It's back active now. And so when we think about the opportunities, Quail Valley had one on April 19th, that second, and that was a Moderna version. The second dose is going to happen on May 12th. That's a Wednesday. We've chosen those Wednesday dates when we work with the county because that's a day when kids are working from at home primarily, right? So that's an opportunity for our community to get a second dose in their arms. There's a new opportunity coming. That's going to be positioned first and foremost at Pinyon Mesa. So getting out from Quail Valley now out to this area. Excited about that. 2 opportunities on the books right now, May 5th and June 2nd. My apologies. May 5th and June 2nd. And you can see it's a single dose event in both cases. That's going to be in Johnson & Johnson administration. Again, I want to make it really clear, FDA, it's off the pause after all the scientific work and investigation put forth. So we're looking forward to this opportunity. Just got the flyers from Borrego Health. We'll be publishing those tomorrow and pushing that information out. So look for that 9 o'clock in the morning to 1 p.m. Please tell a friend, tell folks who don't have vaccinations who want to consider doing so to get over there for that free opportunity. And then another one, just literally hot off the press, if you will, just late in the afternoon yesterday, a developing situation in a positive way, and that's mobile clinics. So San Bernardino County is now going to be activating literally on wheels mobile clinics to high schools. And the plan right now is to immunize students 16 years and older, right? That'd be a Pfizer case there, And for the 16 and 17-year-olds, of course, permission would have to be granted by parents. So the parents will have to be there with them, parents and guardians, and give kids an opportunity. Again, there's no obligation, but an opportunity to become immunized right at our schools. Serrano High School and Chaparral is what we put in for. And this is being availed to us up here in the high desert. So I'm really excited about this opportunity to be able to present to our two high schools and all of the surrounding parents and families come May. So we'll give you more details. We don't have dates yet, but we're going to get that really soon. So more opportunities, more resources for our community. So thanks, Alan, for the update on vaccines. As we continue here real quickly, you know, we've talked about graduation and promotion guidelines. Graduation, we use that term again for 12th graders, right, who are finishing their course of study and moving on from us. So very proud of them, but also promotions at 8th grade, 5th grade, even kindergarten, you know, too. We have discussions about that as well and have done that over the years. So a lot of this information you've seen, here's where I want to give you the latest. And that is that we've been working with San Bernardino County Department of Public Health, which we have to, as well as San Bernardino County Fire Department. Thanks to Robert Chacon has been doing that work on that end. I've been, connecting with the public health. Know that we should very soon have the details from them to be able to indicate to our communities and communicate with them what we're doing. Just know that we've got this opportunity to come to a new design compared to last year, and that's in-person design. So the planning has been happening rapidly. Those who are maybe listening out there just know that a lot of work is being done. I'm really proud of elementary, middles, and high schools doing the work that they're doing. Right now in Orange, we're at 33% capacity, but we do feel like we're going to be able to offer up wonderful opportunities, everything from even graduation weeks. Look for that information coming up and all the opportunities from our wonderful partners too. Like Mountain High is still partnering with us. We've got just great things happening to honor our kids this year. So know that that's in the works, and we're communicating as we get all that approved. And so, Alan, as we go to the next slide, let's talk about what we currently have in place. You know that at all levels, right? 2 days a week is that Group A. Wednesday is online. Group B, a different group of kids coming. The at-home learning option still is in place, as you know, and it's all levels, as I mentioned, and transportation, food, that's certainly in place. Really appreciate the adaptability of those departments to ensure that they get our students not only where they need to go, but what they need in terms of food. And that's happened throughout the pandemic. So very much appreciate that. So that's what's happening now. That next slide, you've seen before. That's that Group A and Group B design. So that's what's in place now, but we're talking about 4 days. So let's start going to that next slide, Alan, and talk about where we are with those 4 days per week. So Monday, May 10th is the beginning of our transition to 4 days. Now, a lot of important work has been done, is being done, and still needs to be done because it's a significant change here. And first and foremost, it's the outreach to families. So right now we have 4 days on remote, as well as 4 days. Let me rephrase that: 4 days in person, and then we have the remote design. Those are the two that will be activated come Monday, May 10th. I also want to say, well, hey, Ryan, what about those who have 2 days? This is why it's really important, who want 2 days and want to stay on that. You see our two options, 4 days and remote. We do believe, having heard from our families, that the large majority of folks will be able to fit into those. But this is why we're reaching out. We had meetings with our leaders, and they've been just outstanding through this process. And they're committed to, again, the outreach to find out what is out there, what's needed amongst our families. What can we do to accommodate everybody, all the while knowing that we know when we go to 4 days and we go to remote, there might be some instances that we have to address on a case by case basis. We don't know until we do know. And how do we know? We know by families getting back to us. So again, I just implore everyone, as those communications are going out, tell us what you want, what other extenuating circumstances you have, because then we'll get back together. We are getting back together on a regular basis to try what can be done to still ensure learning process that is deserved of the kids, that the kids absolutely are entitled to, but also what can be accomplished. Also in that planning, as you see up there, facility checks are in place. Appreciate Rick Dawson and his great team in the maintenance and operations who's going out and working with the principals to determine. You heard a lot about physical distancing. What can be done? And I know he's doing great work with the administrators and the site employees to figure out how many kids can we get in that 3-foot distancing. And so again, going backward to go forward, that previous bullet and that outreach really helps us determine on that physical distancing. So all this goes hand in hand, but I want you to know how it's all playing out. So again, please get us the information, which way you want to go with our learning designs, and then what we might be able to do based on all the data we have back. Student schedules is brought up in public comments. Absolutely, it's our commitment to the best of our abilities. We don't want to make changes. We want to keep kids with their teachers, but we can't do that completely without. We can't give any guarantee until we have all the data in terms of what are the preferences. So again, I can say on behalf of our administrators, their commitment is to keep kids with their current teachers as best they can. But we can't make that promise knowing that we don't know until we know. We don't know how many kids want to come back, how many kids are going to stay at home. So please let us know so then in turn we can do our best. Kids with their current teachers. Can't give the guarantee, but know that, can't give the guarantee, I should say, that every child will be able to stay with his or her teacher, but our commitment is to do that. And guarantee that commitment is by getting the information back. What I also say about upgrades to ventilation. We know that that's an important piece. Want to thank Robert Chacon, Rick Dawson, and all the people in business as well as maintenance and operations, all rooms outfitted with additional ventilation to ensure, again, the safety precautions that we want to make certain that we're always adhering to. The important work that's done relative to working conditions. We've had our working conditions change on a regular basis. In negotiating that process, I'm thankful for the groups that we get to work with on that on a regular basis. Dennis Zimmerman heads that piece up, and we're always doing that work to ensure that those working conditions are in place for the best interests of our staff members and certainly in service of our students. So hopefully that's a snapshot of the work that's going on to try to get everything done and ready for May 10th when we switch over to that 4-day model or that remote model. And then Alan, when you go to that next slide, and really that next slide being the second to last slide. So then there might be this question, okay, Ryan, so what are truly the next steps? Narrow it down for us. That outreach again. I can't drive that home enough. We can't predict what we need to do. We have to know by virtue of families saying, Ryan, I want to go 4 days. Ryan, I want to stay back on remote. Let us know because those options are absolutely in place. And then you heard a couple tonight, well, I want to stay in 2 days. We don't know what can be done in that regard until we know. So please, around those 2 designs, and I guess we've heard on rare occasions that folks have some extenuating circumstances. Let us know. And if we can accommodate, we will. We can't make promises now until we know what we can do, given the specifics of all that come with facilities and all the students and meeting their needs. It's a tremendous puzzle that we will solve, and we'll solve it with everybody's help. That next bullet talks about supporting the readiness for May 10th to that 4-day start. That's really coming first and foremost from the district office and all of the support personnel supporting those sites. This is a big undertaking. It's the right undertaking, in my opinion, specific to serving these kids in this in-person design, but it's not easy. So know that we're committed to supporting, as I hopefully articulated already, and we'll continue to do that so that we can make certain that that folks have what they need. I've just been really proud of the sites so far that they're finding ways to accommodate kids, to accommodate them, that the safety so far, and it's going to continue, right, all the way up until just prior to that May 10th. We're also going to confirm those graduation and promotion plans. We know that people want to know, people need to plan, and we're hard at work doing that. I thank again Robert Chacon for doing the work with the fire department, and and as well as hopefully our efforts with public health department to ensure that we can get confirmation. If I'm a member of the public, I guess I would want to hear, is in-person going to happen? Absolutely. Those in-person celebrations will happen. Look for that information. Just know that they're going to follow the guidelines that we have to in terms of COVID-19, but it's still going to be great celebrations. And then finally, you see those mobile clinics, right? We'll let you know how those mobile clinics pan out, because this will be the first opportunity to get kids in a maybe a greater numbers of that have already occurred, because kids have been able to 16 and up over the last few weeks, but this will be able to bring it right to school sites if in fact families for kids who are under 18, 16 and 17, if they give permission for that to occur. If not, 18-year-olds can decide to do that. But again, it's only an option. I want to make that really clear. There's no requirement. It's just another opportunity to bring resources here to Snowline. So those are the recommended next steps. Certainly any questions, because I can imagine, hey, Ryan, drill down right now with all of, certainly with all of us, because the senior cabinet too, so that we can answer those questions to, specific to making this transition to 4 days, that we can ensure that we give you what you need as we get to that place of May 10th there. President Hernandez.
Thanks so much. Well, I appreciate that plan. I really appreciate the comments there at the end about outreach to families. I did have the opportunity to speak with several of our sites. And, the range of emotion was from enthusiastic all the way down to just incredulous and disappointed. I know we need to keep our eye on that equity piece often, and I think it's highly important. I think that some of the students that we are representing here, they have a hard time with this, and so that outreach part, we're very happy about. And we need to bolster that, in fact, make that a stronger piece if that opportunity presents itself. So thank you for providing that information out there, and certainly hope that we continue to support our sites with that outreach opportunity, because that's going to be really important to make sure that we drive this home correctly. I also, my number one thing, even from when we started going back to in-person, was the idea that I don't want the kids disconnected from the teacher that they've made a connection with. We have heard public comment to that effect, and I very strongly opinionated that connection, whatever it has been, is incredibly important. So continue to pursue, make sure that we can do everything we can to keep those students connected with their teachers and with that group that they have been learning with. I think that's going to be incredibly important as we finish out this school year. So I just appreciate really that outreach plan. I'm glad for that. So I'll open up the rest of the board. Any comments to the presentation? Oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks to really all of you. And I just want to reiterate, we are exhausting all our options. Again, you heard me say we just can't guarantee, because honestly, it's not a pure puzzle, right, where we can go 100%. But I think your point's well taken there, President Hernandez. And that's the spirit of these staff members, is we're going to give 100% in terms of trying to align our efforts in all areas. We know that it won't be perfect, but we're going to certainly make that effort. And then I'll just give this other maybe final takeaway, and that is count the days. Once we start on May 10th, the 23 days left. When we subtract the Wednesdays, I think there are 5 Wednesdays, it's 18 days. And I've heard the term, Ryan, it's only 18 days. And it's right. It is only 18 days. But it's like only 18 days too. And I just want to explain that real quick. This is an opportunity for us in only 18 days to do something very special for kids, to connect with them, to ensure that they feel cared for, to provide for them that magic that's already happened in 2 days up to 4 days. And that is to get them to a place where they are going to be in this in-person setting here, those who choose that, to really ready themselves, not only for the summer, but ultimately feel like they matter, just like we would do from the beginning of day one of this pandemic when we tried and continue to do in that remote setting. Here's this opportunity to do so in the in-person setting. And I just appreciate the commitment across the system. I said 100% of the staff members at the last board meeting, and I want to just reiterate that. Whether folks were on one side or the other in this community, right? You mentioned it very, very well, President Hernandez. What I appreciate about Snowline staff members is once that decision is made, we're going to give 100% to ensure that our students are getting the best service possibly that they possibly can. So thanks for all that you've shared. Appreciate being able to share what I just did right there too.
Yeah, thank you very much. Do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation.
Absolutely.
Okay, that concludes everything of the administrative items. We'll go to board member comments and start over here with Member Flores.
Thanks.
No problem. Thank you. Member Bristol.
Yeah, I just want to thank those kids for doing the presentation at the very beginning of the meeting in Quail Valley. That school kind of always confuses me because it's called Quail Valley, but they're the Cougars, so I don't know why they're not the Quails. I guess the Quails aren't very tough, so Quail Valley Cougars. But anyways, great job. And other than that, that's it.
Member Ranger.
No comments.
Thank you. Clerk Coleman.
No comments.
Thanks so much. Well, we're going through this quick. I guess I might as well take all of your time. Yes. No, I just want to thank again the site leaders I did connect with. Really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me openly, honestly, and know that you are supported. We will do this together. I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes. I'll do everything I can with the board, with the superintendent, to make sure everybody's supported. And I think we're doing it the right way. So let's all hang in there. We'll finish up this year, and we'll cross that finish line together. So to all of you guys, thank you so very much. Also to the Quail Valley Science Olympiad, awesome work. Really excellent stuff going on there. Mr. Bennett should be very proud of the work that your team is doing there, all their effort. And that's all my comments. We will go to administrative with Mr. Miller.
Thank you, President Hernandez. First of all, I'd like to echo the sentiments and thanks to Quail Valley Middle School for that excellent presentation on Science Olympiad. Also want to thank Trish Kendrick for doing a wonderful job with her presentation that spotlighted the outstanding work that's going on in early childhood education, also known as preschool. Just wanted to give the board an update, and you guys will be hearing a lot about this throughout the rest of the year and the upcoming school year on the LCAP. We're really going to keep that out in front of you so you guys can really have your finger on the pulse regarding what's going on with the plan implementation, plan development, and progress monitoring of the same as we progress through the 21-22 school year. There's been a lot of opportunities so far to get stakeholder input, as I alluded to, I think, in my previous administrative comments at the last board meeting. We've got DLAC and special education parent groups coming up, so we're really putting our efforts into getting a lot of community voice, being the Snowline community, into that LCAP planning process. And then lastly, but certainly not least, our task force and individual task groups have been working hard in preliminary goal development for the LCAP based on feedback, and also the accompanying actions for the same. And then my next thing I wanted to inform you of is that if you didn't get a chance to get into your inboxes, we did send out the tentative list of graduation and promotion events across the district. That is a Google document, so it's live, so it will change and adjust as things get dialed in. But we wanted to give that to you so that you had the opportunity to schedule events on your calendar ahead of time so that you could participate in anything that your schedule allows. And then lastly, Assembly Bill 104. Some of you may or may not have heard about it. It's an assembly bill that has passed the state assembly as of right now and is going to the state senate. This could potentially have implications regarding retention of our students at all grade levels in K through 12, as well as implications regarding graduation requirements relief of anything above and beyond of what the state minimums are. This may require us to implement temporary board policy in the very near future and make appropriate adjustments to support our students moving forward, which we're already doing. We're already supporting our students with or without this assembly bill, but we'll take the appropriate actions as deemed necessary as we move forward with that. So stand by on that. I'll bring back more information as it becomes applicable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes, thank you, President Hernandez. So just a few comments. I'm really excited that we're going to be able to get students and staff back together for 18 days the last month of the school year instead of the 9 on the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday in-person schedule. This entire 14 plus months, probably going to be closer to 16 by the time we wrap up this school year. Of COVID scheduling is hard, and we wish there was a one size fits all, and it's just a difficult time, but we are striving to give families the option to be on campus in person as we move towards the new school year in August. And just our HR team is working with site administrators on enrollment projections for next school year and teacher staffing to serve our students. That's the season we're in. We've got a job fair tomorrow afternoon, evening that we'll be participating in remotely. It's normally an in-person job fair, but we'll be doing that remotely here. And then as we look ahead, I am paying very special attention to the goings on in Sacramento with the governor, the legislature, the California Department of Public Health, Cal OSHA, just for any hints, for any inklings of what the beginning of the school year will look like for Snowline on August 12th. We're hoping that group's going to get together and come to some consistency among themselves. But with the great news that Dr. Holman shared tonight about Snowline's case rate and California currently having the lowest state rate of COVID infection in the country, with San Bernardino County at 3.4 cases per 100,000 people and Snowline at 2.9 cases per 100,000, we're moving closer and closer to that safest tier of yellow, when our county gets under 2 cases per 100,000. And then, I think we're all hoping for great news in our COVID data, statewide and countywide on June 15, the kind of date that the governor tossed out there to declare California open and exempt from the current blueprint, that tiered framework, if hospitalizations are down, if illness is down. And then, hopefully we'll see what that means for schools at that point so we can make plans and move forward. And I just want to thank our families and our staff members for continuing to follow the current safety protocols that we are holding up as a high standard. I know that there are some fellow districts in other places in California have really played with that number and kind of pushed it around. And we're saying, no, we want to do best by families, best by kids, but we're going to follow those guidelines, as Dr. Holman had talked about, and we're going to finish this very unique 2020-2021 school year on a high note for everybody. So thank you, board, for your support and your patience with all of us.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chacon. Thank you, sir. Ms. Stapp.
Sorry, had to get my microphone on. I just would like to thank Quail Valley Middle School, of course. They did a fabulous job. I love seeing the students. I miss them. And I am also indebted to the board for making the decision to move forward in supporting us in that 4-day instruction for students, even if it is for 18 days. I know some kids who are totally looking forward to that. And so I'm grateful for that. And just a big thank you to everybody for all that they do. As Dennis stated, this has been just a crazy 14 to 16 months. And honestly, I just give everybody a huge kudos for being still standing. And I am grateful for all of the work that everybody is doing.
Thank you. And Dr. Coleman.
Well, thanks, President Hernandez. Thanks to the really everybody who tuned in here. I'll work through the technical difficulties. Thanks to Robert Jacone, Rick Hernandez for making all that happen so very challenging. But really, my comments are reserved too. I think what's most important over the last just a little bit more than a week, we in Snowline lost 2 of our treasured members here. We lost Michelle Weinhold, just a true star of a staff member. Who worked up at Toronto High School, a paraprofessional who really was a professional and was a professional in kindness and care and making people, and I say people, not just students, certainly that was her focus, but also adults feel like they matter. And I just want everyone to know that she is on, her family members, of course, are on all of our hearts here in Snowline. And then over the weekend, we just lost one of our students, a student up at Toronto High School in one of the specialized county programs, James Pendleton. James was just a kindest of soul children. He just loved music and just ultimately loved being in the presence of everybody up at Toronto High School. And so I just want you to know that the Snowline family, which is a very powerful one, all the time when this occurs, that this is when we need our best, right, to lift up the families of James Pendleton and Michelle Weinhold, last 2 treasured members, and we all know that our people matter, and those 2 are again treasured folks who that everyone knows out there that we're going to be there always for those family members to support them as need be. So very sorry for the loss, but they'll always be on our hearts. Thank you, President Hernandez.
Thank you, sir. All right. There being no further business to come before the board, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Member Crystal. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Member Flores. By show of hands, all in favor? All opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for working well.